Say hello in the Italian capital to Lorenzo De Sio, professor of political science at Lius University. Thank you for speaking with us on France 24.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Before I ask you who the next prime minister is, can you just explain for our audience? We know what the Liga is about. It's used to be called the Northern League, far-right movement. It's been in coalitions before. Its regional base is in the north, as the former name states. But again, remind us, what is the Five-Star Movement about? What do they have in common?
Now, first of all, the League, which is now simply the League, is in a way a new and different party from the Northern League, what used to be. And the new leader, Matteo Salvini, who stepped in 2014, basically converted what used to be a regional party in a nationwide, relatively radical right-wing party.
Except if you look at the election results, where they did well in the north, and the Five-Star Movement did well in the south.
Yes, exactly. Although we have to say that the League did relatively well, even in the south, with 6 or 7% figures, and the Five-Star Movement reached almost 20%, even in the north. So we don't really have a complete split between different parts of the country, but we have relative strongholds. As for the Five-Star Movement, is basically mostly an anti-establishment party with a relatively left-wing leaning, especially on economic policy. But they both share a conservative attitude towards migration. They are both for enforcing a stricter policy.
A stricter policy. So that brings us to the question that Josephine was tackling, which is who then gets to be the new prime minister if they disagree on other matters?
This is an important question because, of course, none of the two partners has to appear and having a more prominent role in this coalition. Also because the Five-Star Movement has much more votes than the League, but at the same time, the League is expression of the center-right, which was the largest coalition. So the expectations are that none of the two leaders might become the new prime minister. So Di Maio will hardly become prime minister, and Matteo Salvini will to hardly become prime minister. Now, in these hours, there are rumors of potentially technical figures, such as the names we heard previously, such as Enrico Giovannini. I'm not really very much convinced that it could be a technical figure, because in a way, one of the common denominators between these two forces is being against technocracy, is in restoring a sort of primacy of politics. So as a result, I would think that perhaps they might be really interested in having a genuine political figure. Of course, they will need a political figure that can be seen as a compromise between the two forces, and this is not going to be easy.
Not going to be easy. Lorenzo De Sio, are we really witnessing a fundamental change in Italian politics, or are these new labels on old trends within the different various movements?
Now, I think that we might be seeing a change in Italian politics, because we have to say that the Five-Star Movement was very successful in 2013. It already was the largest party, but it didn't enter government. This might be the first time that this party enters government, and I would say the first time that a very large challenger party, not a mainstream party, is entering government. At the same time, it will be a new coalition, an unusual coalition between the League and the Five-Star Movement. So this should definitely be new. What perhaps is not going to be extremely new is policy. I would say that when this government steps in, I don't expect radical policy changes, because after all, Italy is in the context of international treaties of the European Union, of the Eurozone, and I expect this government to try to find some room for modest policy changes, but I don't expect radical policy changes.
All right, so Europe can breathe a little easier if it plans out the way you say. Lorenzo De Sio, who teaches at Lius University, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.